After a lackluster launch of Ranked in Season 1 of Xdefiant, we finally got some changes to Ranked that just dropped in the latest update, as well as a list of changes coming throughout Season 1, and even more changes coming in Season 2. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big Ranked grinder. I have about 3,500 hours in Apex Legends across all of my accounts because, well, I just love grinding Ranked. Having something to actually play for instead of just winning the game, you know? So naturally, when I heard Ranked was coming to Xdefiant, I was super excited. Until I played it. Unfortunately, there were numerous issues and very basic features missing from the game. Now, when there are minor issues in the game, for pubs, it's not that big of a deal, but if I'm playing Ranked, I expect there to be some level of competitive integrity. And also, Ranked game modes tend to bring out and exaggerate the most broken or unbalanced parts of the game. Because when everything is on the line, you'll take every small advantage that you can get. So with that being said, what did they fix in today's update and what should we expect in the future? The first thing they mentioned in the X debrief is that they fixed the 0 RP bug. Now they already fixed this previously and I'm not sure if it's still happening for players or if they just wanted to reiterate it. Next, they fixed the issue where the match would start without a full team. If you haven't experienced this or haven't played Ranked, what would happen is the lobby would be created and start counting down with a full 8 players, and one or more of those players would end up leaving the match before it started. Either their game crashed or they just wanted to back out. Well, that didn't stop the game from starting, as it should, to look for more players and fill those empty slots to get a fair match. And the game would start anyway, meaning that one team basically just drew the short straw and was screwed, guaranteed a loss. Now, to make things even worse, you couldn't just back out of the match yourself because you would instantly lose 100 rank points, which is a full tier. So you literally had to suffer through the match, trying your best to win, but ultimately knowing that more than likely you're just going to be playing to lose the least amount of points possible, which sucks. It's demoralizing knowing that you have to play a match just to lose, and again, goes back to the point that I made earlier about Ranked lacking competitive integrity. So they fixed the issue now, and everything should be working as intended, but we'll see how it shakes out over the coming weeks. Now, if a player on your team leaves during the match, you will lose less RP, and if the imbalance between your team and the other team is big enough, you'll actually be given complete loss forgiveness, and you'll lose no RP for that match. The last part of this update that I honestly don't care that much about is that capture the flag is now added, which is fine. I just care more about the core functions and competitive integrity of Ranked working properly, and less about the game modes. Next, we have a list of changes that are coming in an update soon or later on in Season 1. Why these changes didn't get shipped with this patch? Don't ask me. I don't even work here, I just make YouTube videos. Anyway, they're making server changes to matchmaking in Ranked by limiting the max ping to 125 to stop you from joining up with people or getting thrown into matches from people that are way across the world. Next, they're increasing the priority level of input in Ranked, meaning that while you're matchmaking, the system will try harder to find players on the same input as you since you can't turn on or off input-based matchmaking in Ranked. Now, as a mouse and keyboard player, this is music to my ears, because I can probably count on one hand the number of other mouse and keyboard players I've seen in Ranked. Next, they're expanding the difference between ranks that you can play with. For example, in Apex, once you're in Diamond, you can only play with players that are 1 rank above or 1 rank below. And the way that it has worked in Xdefiant is you could only match with or queue with players within 15 tiers, basically 1.5 ranks. Ake said this ended up being too strict and they'll now be expanding it to 30 tiers or effectively 3 ranks. Personally, I think that's a bit too wide of a spread and would probably have moved it from 15 to 20 tiers, but hey, I guess we'll see what happens. At least now your unranked or lower ranked friends can still play with you until you rank up past gold. Next, and probably one of the most important changes that's coming, is faction ability limits. I don't care if anyone gets upset about this, faction limits need to be in pubs as well. I don't want to hear anyone complaining, but it's pubs. Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 both had a maximum of 2 characters for each team for obvious reasons. This is still a shooter game at the end of the day, and gunplay should be the most important, not ability spam. Anyway, when it comes to Ranked, it looks like they're only allowing 1 faction ability per team, which again seems kind of strict, but also I get it because ranked matches are only 4v4. This will at least take the edge off the annoying abilities like the spider bot. And side note, if you're stacking spider bots in Ranked, please uninstall the game. Next, we have increasing penalties for quitters. They will be adding a temporary ban from Ranked if you quit matches, and both the time and the RP loss will increase for repeated quitting. Ake said they wanted to hold off on this for a bit until they could make sure that players aren't getting hit with false bans or being kicked or disconnected from the match through no fault of their own. I hope they sort this out, because if not, we're probably going to see some abuse similar to what early Apex Ranked went through, where players found out they could just dashboard or close the game and not lose any RP. Unfortunately, there's no perfect system, and some innocent people are going to get hit with a false temporary ban and loss of RP, and it happens in Apex sometimes, but it seems like their intent is to do everything they can to mitigate this while also correctly penalizing players who grief your games by leaving. The ranked progression has felt slow for what little of ranked that I've played, and it feels like when you lose, the penalty's high, and when you win, the reward isn't that great, which is insane for bronze in my opinion. So they're reworking the ranked points formula to give players a bit more for a win and speed up that progression a little bit. It's unclear if they're going to also change the penalty to a more progressive system where you penalize less in the lower ranks and more on the higher ranks. Now that's everything that's going to be changing in Season 1, and it's definitely a good start. I'm glad we finally got some communication and they're addressing some of the core issues with ranked that we've been complaining about for a while now. So what's coming in Season 2? First up, an in-game leaderboard for the top 500 players, which is great. This is something that not even Apex did in-game. You had to go look at third-party websites that would sometimes break and not work correctly with new updates. Next, they're bringing in a separate set of loadouts specifically for ranked, and probably the most interesting change they've made is that you'll have access to every weapon and every attachment in ranked, which I've never really thought about, but that's actually a fantastic way to even out the playing field. The only caveat being that if you don't actually have the weapon that you're using unlocked, you won't gain any weapon XP for it, which is fine because at least you'll be able to use it to compete. Having a separate set of loadouts for ranked also gives them the ability to restrict items in the future if they deem them non-competitive. Now, they're not touching anything yet, but this just gives them the option in the future if necessary. Next, they're adding a feature that I think should have been there on day one, and as much as I enjoy Xdefiant, I have no clue how this basic feature slipped through the cracks, and that's the ability to rejoin a match if for some reason you get disconnected or your game crashes. It sucks when it happens in pubs, yes, but it completely ruins the ranked experience. Whoever got disconnected just unintentionally handed their team a loss, so thankfully that's getting sorted out. While all of this is a step in the right direction, in my mind, there's still work left to be done. So what do I think they need to change or add to actually make ranked worth playing? Number one, the rewards need to be much better. Yeah, an MP7 skin is cool for hitting the top rank, but I'd like to see something that is able to be used on all my weapons. I think at the very least, the top rank should be a complete bundle, including a weapon variant, a camo for all guns, a skin, an animation, and a death screen background. I think they should also add some type of reward or cosmetic that is able to be shown off in public matches for two reasons. One, it would give players more of an incentive to grind for higher ranks to show off their achievement in pubs, but two, it would also make other players maybe want to try ranked out, kind of a little advertisement for the ranked mode. Overall, I think they just need to give players a little bit more of an incentive to play ranked with better rewards and a way to show other players that they have bragging rights. But let me know in the comments what you think about the changes coming to ranked, and if you want to watch another video, click here.